Item out of order, that will be item 3.24, the amendment to the flag display policy. And I want to encourage anyone who wanted to speak on this item, please submit a yellow card. All the members of our public who would like to speak do so for a minute. Vice Mayor Herrera.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and I would appreciate hearing from the public first on this item before I make a motion.
Very well. I'll ask folks to come on down. When you hear your name, just come on down to the base of the stairs. Come forward as your name's called. David Sanders, followed by Francis McVeigh, forgive me. Followed by Kang Dong and J.D. Duenas. If it's easier for you, Dave, I know David Wall has a microphone here, if that's easier for you just to grab that, whichever you prefer.
And members of the council. My name is Dave Sanders. I am the current president of the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 201, the Darwin J. Thomas Memorial Chapter. I'm also the member of the California State Council. I stand to hope that you will approve the amendment or resolution for the POW MIA flag to be added to the bottom of the American flag at City Hall here. Darwin J. Thomas was an ensign who on October 14th of 1966 took off from the aircraft carrier, the USS Oriskany, on a mission for us. He was shot down somewhere over North Vietnam or the South China Sea, and his body was never recovered, so he is a POW MIA. There are many of them. We have 142 names at the Sons of San Jose Memorial here, one of which is a POW MIA, body not recovered. We also have a couple of Medal of Honor recipients there also. So this would be a great honor to our people, and we would hope that you pass this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. And thank you for your service. Mr. McVeigh.
I'm Fran McVeigh, current president of the United Veterans Council of Santa Clara County. We're the umbrella organization. There are more than 50 posts in the county eligible for membership. We want to thank fellow veteran Vice Mayor Herrera for keeping this before the council after it was surfaced by one of our members, Rich McCoy. Why this banner is so important is it is the symbol that when someone, a young man or a young woman, volunteers to serve in military service, there are a number of commitments made by our country. One of those most significant is that if they become a POW or missing in action, they will not be forgotten. That's a commitment to them and to their family, and this banner is the symbol of that commitment. And we're honored to be able to support this motion and hope to work with the city a little further during the implementation phase as to whether the banner should be flown for more days. Thank you.
Thank you. Kang Do?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. With all this factory region following, I would like the city to allow the POW MIA flag to fly every day at the front of City Hall, whereas the entire military conflict since the founding of the nation resulted to 83,000 something missing in action, and we appreciate them. They sacrifice which made our country a great place to live. The Southeast Asia war sustained 58,000 of casualties, and until now 1,627 are still missing. For 40 years, their relatives still alive with the hope the lost returning. And the son of San Jose sacrificed the flesh and blood for Vietnam War was 142 war. And we honor and commemorate them every year. And this Santa Clara, the city, had provided peaceful and wealthy living for 125,000 of Vietnamese right now, and most of them were the witness of the cruel and ill-treated prisoner policy of Vietnam Communist regime. And with all that factor reason, we would like the city consider to have our second flight flag that fly 365 days.
Thank you, Mr. Khan, and thank you for your service, sir. JD Duenas. And after Mr. Duenas is Richard McCoy, David Wall, and Sean Cartwright.
My name is J.D. Duenas. I'm here to represent a couple of organizations. One is the Helping Veterans Brotherhood that have brought a lot of my brothers and sisters here. Also, the American Legion Post 858, and also VSSA Veteran Support Center. And I want to thank the council for allowing us to come up here and talk, especially for my fellow Duenas person there, uncle, cousin, brother from another mother, I think, and maybe. But I'm just going to be here to talk about, what this flag represents. You displayed up here on this wall how to conduct ourselves. And it says, please respect the rights of others to speak. We're here to represent for those who cannot speak, who gave their ultimate life to make this land free and display all these flags and all of us to be able to do the freedom that we enjoy. And by displaying not only those flags on those 5 days, we also wanted to have you consider doing it for all 365 days, because there's no maintenance of it. All it is to add it, like the gentleman said before me, to add an additional flag below the American flag. You're going to raise it anyway. Let's respect those who gave their ultimate lives. Okay, that's what I wanted to represent, and I hope you consider that very seriously.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your service. Richard McCoy. And thank you for bringing this to our attention, Richard.
Thank you, Mayor and Vice Mayor, for supporting this, Johnny Camus, and also Charles Chappie. What you see there, and I hope the Mayor will indulge me a little bit, because this was timed for actually to be less than 2 minutes, but it's more than 1 minute. You may have noticed a small table in the place of honor. It is set for one. The table is our way of symbolizing the fact that members of our profession are missing from our midst. They are commonly called POWs. We call them brothers. They are unable to be with us today, so we remember them. The table is set for one is small, symbolizing the futility of one prisoner's against his oppressors. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to our country's call to arms. The single red rose displayed in the vase is a reminder to us of the families and loved ones of our comrades in arms whose faith are unwilling to their return. The red ribbon tied is symbolic of the ribbon tied to the vest, recounting the worn upon the lapel of the breasts of thousands who bear witness to the unyielding determination and the demand of the proper counting for those missing. The candles lit, symbolizing the upward reach of the unquestionable faith. The slice of lemon is on the bread plate to remind us of the bitterness of their faith. The salt upon the bread plate symbolizes the family's tears as they await. The glass inverted, they cannot toast with us today. The chair is empty, they cannot be here today. All of you who served with them and call them comrades, who depend upon their might and aid and relief upon them, are surely they are not forsaken to you. Until the day they are accounted for and called home, we call them brothers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. David Wall.
First of all, tribute should be paid to Richard McCoy for his tireless efforts at the Rules and Open Government Committee to bring this issue forward to this very day. And there are a lot of questions why other council members didn't take this on themselves. This flag should be flown 365 days a year because POWs and MIAs they're always with us. It's not relegated to just a few days of the week or the month. It should be flown, in my opinion, on its own pole, but if not, put it underneath the American flag. But I want to make a further amendment, that there should be an additional flag here, 2 flags in this council chambers to fly, actually 3 flags, 3 sets of flags, to fly that POW-MI flag forever in every city council meeting or every committee meeting that's held in this room. And I think that you all should basically bear a moment of shame, public shame, for not coming up with this particular idea yourselves. I'd like to thank all the POWs and MIAs, and God rest their souls.
Thank you. Sean Cartwright.
So people always wonder how I ended up being like this lefty activist. And it's because I grew up with both my parents working for the VA. And so that's what turned me into an activist. The biggest thing that made me against war was seeing how horribly our veterans were treated. So that's why I've always been against war. And I agree with you entirely that we should have the POW MIA flag out there every single day to remind us of all the horrible ways that our vets have been treated, how many never came home, and in particular, you should be reminded of how little you have actually done, not said, but done to help our homeless veterans and all of our veterans. And the fact that our vets have only, the homeless vets have only gone down 2% in the past 2 years, that flag should be out there to remind you personally of how horribly our personal San Jose and Santa Clara County vets have been treated. And so it should be right behind your back to nag you every single day of how much this county and this city has done little, nada, for our homeless vets.
Thank you, Ms. Cartwright. Now returning to Council, Vice Mayor Herrera.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to thank all of the veterans who've come out today to support this. In 1971, Mrs. Michael Hoff, the wife of a U.S. military officer listed as missing in action during the Vietnam War, developed the idea for a national flag to remind every American of the U.S. service members whose fates were never accounted for during the war. The black and white image of a giant silhouette, a strand of barbed wire, and an ominous watchtower was designed by Newt Heisley, a former World War II pilot. The phrase, "You are not forgotten," stitched on the flag reminds the families of the missing soldiers that our nation and our community will never forget their service and sacrifice. U.S. Public Law 101-355, recognizing the National League of Families POW MIA flag, and designates it as a symbol of our nation's concern and commitment to resolving as fully as possible the fates of Americans still prisoner, missing, and unaccounted for in Southeast Asia, thus ending the uncertainty for their families and the nation. Beyond Southeast Asia, it has been a symbol for POW MIAs from all American wars. According to POW MIA Personnel Office, there are more than 83,000 Americans who remain missing from World War II to present day, including more than 2,500 service members who were listed by the Department of Defense as prisoner of war or missing in action at the end of the Vietnam War. The POW MIA flag serves as a reminder that these Americans remain unaccounted for and that our nation is committed to their full accounting. This flag and advocacy helps protect sustained federal funding to account for and rescue the remains of these Americans. Currently, the U.S. Capitol and State Capitol all fly the POW MIA flags on the 6 days designated by Congress. Locally, the city of Milpitas, the county of Santa Cruz, the San Jose Hall of Justice all fly the POW MIA flag at their facilities. As a veteran, a Vietnam era veteran, I understand the importance of remembering and honoring those soldiers who never came home from war or conflict. The principle of leaving no one behind, no matter what the cost, is deeply embedded in the U.S. military. And for our veterans who did come home and the families who grieve over POW MIA victims, flying this flag provides visible recognition that we as a community, as a country, remember and will not forget. As a Veterans Liaison to the City Council, I ask my colleagues to support staff's recommendation, and I would like to make a motion. I have several folks I want to thank. I want to move my memo, and I thank Councilmember Raul Perales, Councilmembers Chappie Jones and Tam Nguyen for signing on with me to support adding additional days to the already 5 days that that are commemorated, and that would be adding March 30th, Welcome Home Vietnam Day, and the third Friday of September, which this year would be on the 18th, and that's POW MIA Day. I would like to move this along with the mayor's memo, and I want to thank Mayor Liccardo for supporting this, and also Paul Perea, his staff member, for working hard with the veterans community. We would like to, again, make sure that this flag also flies during the week of 4th of July week, and additionally to direct the city manager to conduct further outreach with veterans groups to come back in August to offer additional policy alternatives, including looking at flying at 365 days a year. If I could get a second, and I would like to speak a little more to it.
Second.
So we wanted to make sure that we move forward, get something done today rather than just deferring the whole thing until August. And so I really appreciate the mayor, my council colleagues, and everyone here for coming forward and supporting that. Moving forward what we can move forward today and bringing back 365 in August to move forward with that. So we will make sure that we are getting the flag flown, getting it started now, and working with you guys in August. And I hope that you will join us. We would like to reach out to all the veterans groups that are here and other veterans groups who may not be here today in an ad hoc basis, as was suggested by our United Veterans Council, to work with you to make sure that we are commemorating this appropriately. And I want to thank now some of the veterans organizations. First of all, to Rich McCoy, who brought this forward, who first brought this forward from United Veterans Council, Fran McVeigh from United Veterans Council, Tito Cortez, Veterans Supportive Services Agency, and all those folks who are with you, American Legion Post 858, Veterans Voices, Veterans Helping Veterans Brotherhood, Vietnam Veterans of America, and the American Vietnams of America Chapter 201, Cam Kin Dong. Thank you all, and I ask my colleagues to support me on this motion.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I want to commend Vice Mayor Rose Herrera, not just for her service as a veteran, but for her work as a liaison in the veterans community, a position we just created relatively recently, and she's already hit the ground running and working with the community to move this forward, and I know many other initiatives. Councilmember Colra.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank the Vice Mayor for bringing this forward, and Richard McCoy for and other veterans. I know there was a number of folks and groups that have been in contact with the Vice Mayor and the other colleagues that signed on to the memo regarding flying the POW MIA flag. And I want to thank the Mayor for forwarding to the City Manager alternatives, essentially moving it forward so we can have the flag present flying at City Hall 365 days a year. And I think that with that direction, I would ask, or I imagine the city manager will both be looking at flying it on one of the flags that currently exist, or if it makes more sense to have its own presence, either with the flagpoles or at some other location to give it its own significance, where there might be another memorial or some other options available. I would ask the city manager to look into all those options under his discretion with this direction. And in the meantime, I do appreciate the mayor for adding the Independence Week to fly the flag, and I look forward to the day that we're going to have the flag flying permanently at City Hall every single day of the year.
Councilmember Kimmis.
Yes, I also want to thank Vice Mayor Rose Herrera for picking up the ball here, and of course Richard McCoy, who came to our committee. Thank you very much for all your efforts to get this done. I wish I could have been there to sign on to the memo, but I was absent. I'm also in favor of flying the flag 365 days. I think it would be a special honor to fly it underneath the American flag. But I'm willing to entertain anything that the veterans would like instead. But I think that could be done in a very expedient manner, and looking forward to voting on this.
Councilmember Perales.
Yeah, I just want to note that I strongly support this and appreciate our Vice Mayor's work on this, and as her part as a liaison and a veteran, and our Mayor as well for looking into and allowing the suggestion in regards to 365 days. And if it's any consolation, Mr. Wall, I am ashamed that we have not done this yet, but I'm happy that we're moving forward with being able to do this now.
We have a motion before us. Let's vote.
Ignore the number at the top.
Thank you. And special thanks to all the veterans who came down to join us this afternoon, and particularly to those who spoke. Thank you for your advocacy, and thank you, Rich McCoy. We now are on to what we'll call the first phase of the council priority setting session.